Welcome, everybody, to the Coss Creative Podcast. I am your host, Brian Coss. This is Season 1, Episode 1 of this show. So, you're going to be new, and that's okay, and that's what we want. I'm also recording this live, and I'm also doing it through the video, so please check out my YouTube channel as well if you want to see my beautiful mug along with my voice. So again, I'm Brian Coss. Who's this show for? Well, let me back up a little bit here. See, I'm doing this totally off the cuff. As we get closer to doing this more and more, I'll probably have a script. But anyways, I am a photographer and filmmaker located Central Illinois. I travel literally all over the place. Trying to think of all the places. So all over Illinois, mainly Chicago. I do Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Iowa, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Southern Illinois, or no, not Southern Illinois, Southern California, New York. I'm trying to think. I think that's about it. Been doing this for almost 10 years, which I just cannot believe that. I started back in 2013 with just a dream. And here we are in 2022 going on 2023. So throughout this career and throughout this process, I've dealt with or, interact with two groups of people. And this is who the show's for, kind of revisiting that statement. Couples. So couples, this is for you. I want this show and this podcast to be a resource for you. Providing my 2 cents worth, my knowledge, my experience shooting weddings. Still shoot weddings. Here in 2022, I have 38 weddings this year, which is just insane. I'm kind of nervous, but I'm excited at the same time. So we'll see how that goes. But again, this show's for you. I want to provide as much value as I can to you. I want this to be a really good resource for you. If you're on the fence about something, I want you to listen and hopefully I can provide some feedback for you and everything's good to go for you. The other group of people are vendors. I deal and talk with vendors all the time. So really, I want this podcast to be for you. So in a roundabout way, I'm kind of like a bridge for couples and vendors. Throughout this season and the following seasons, I'd love to get some different vendors on here. I have a few in mind already. And just, do some interviews where, couples may be like, hey, I want to see that venue, or I want to talk to that planner, or see that florist, or whatever the case may be. And you can hear as they share their heart and share their story, how they got started. And maybe in a way you can connect with that particular vendor and be good to go. I'm going to take a little drink here. So I just want to kind of help people out, and it'll be fun in the process. As this show evolves, I plan on incorporating a third group of people to this show, which is just the creative community as a whole. I love gear. I love talking about all the different things that I have. If anyone knows me, and I'm sure as you follow along on this journey of mine, you'll find out that I'm very bougie. I love fancy things. I will, I'll do without. I will sacrifice everything for that one bougie product, whatever it may be. Right now, it's a Leica M11. If any of you are familiar with the Leica world, that's going to be mine one day. So we'll see. So I just want to kind of give a little bit of a background on who I am, how I got started in this industry, why I love this industry, why it motivates me, and hopefully that'll encourage you, kind of give you a little better idea of who I am and my brand. And so again, Brian Coss, I've been I've loved photography pretty much all my life. Um, I remember starting when I was very little, just taking photographs here and there with my mom's camera. So, kind of aging myself here, it was 35 millimeter film. Digital wasn't really a thing. So it's those little cameras. It's like a little black rectangle, nothing fancy. You put your film in there and you just go. And then when you're filled up, you take the film out, you go to your local drugstore, and like it was like 3 days or something like that. You'd get this pack and you'd go through and you'd, throw away all the bad ones. And you're like, what was I thinking? And then you'd have a few good ones. And that was pretty much the process at the time. So my mom would take photos all the time, and I would grab her camera and take a few here and there. And people were like, wow, that's really good, Brian. And, it'd be a picture of a bird or a ball or, just something, just normal stuff, right? And then later on, my dad got me like a real, I guess, camera, interchangeable lenses. It was still film, and started started photographing with that. So I do this throughout, growing up into the teenage years, and then kind of, put that away a little bit, teenage boy, your mind is on other things. So then later on in my young adult life, I started picking up the camera again, started, shooting, and I was just really good at it. Well, that's what people told me. I never thought I was good at it. I was just having fun. I remember this was back when I was young. I was in Boy Scouts too, by the way. And there was a photography merit badge. And it was at a college university where I was taking this merit badge. I'm trying to think of the year. I don't know. It was, I want to say early spring. There's no leaves on the trees, and that detail's important. So the merit badge professor, and I call him that because he was a professor at this university who taught art, photography, and all that. So he was, he lives, eats, and breathes photography. He's like, go out, shoot, and we'll develop the film here at the lab, and then we'll go through and we'll check out the images. So that was the plan. So we're just walking around the university, we're taking all these different shots, and I just looked up and I saw, the tree against the sky. It was cloudy, and I'm like, ooh, it kind of looks like cracks in the sky. It was kind of cool. So I just laid on my back and took that photo. So we go back, we get it developed, and we're going through the slide, and we get to mine. Not tooting the horn here, not saying that was great, but I remember specifically the professor was really carrying on about my photos. He's like, oh, you got depth here, you got depth there, and the leading lines and all these different things. And I'm like, well, wow, thank you. So afterwards, he walks up to me. We're done. I pretty much got the merit badge at that point. You just kind of check off the boxes. And he's like, Brian, he's like, I can teach people photography, but you have that eye, that creative vision for photography. And that's something that you can't teach. You either just have it or you don't. Which I thought was kind of cool. At the time I was younger, and I'm like, okay, thanks. Never really did much with it at that point. But yeah, so fast forward up to now, here I am. So how did I get started? Well, that was kind of the spark. Again with my mom, she was the one that really inspired me. You know how moms are, right? You have first day of school, mom's out there, taking photos. I mean, you see it all over Facebook now. I mean, fast forward now, it's not the little black rectangle film camera. It's the black little rectangle phone. And you take your, first day of school pictures. So, I remember my mom doing that, and I would always look through the photos. And And I don't know, it just always stuck with me. And, between doing that and taking them myself, it just was kind of a lifelong thing. So fast forward up to, let's see, I'm trying to think of the years. I didn't think I was going to get this in depth into it and do this whole chronological journey here for you. It was okay. So I got married in 2011, and my wife Jackie and I were expecting our first son, Benny, in 2013. And when he was born, I just instantly fell in love with him. It's if you've never experienced a birth, it's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's scary, all at the same time. I didn't faint. It's one of those things like, yeah, I didn't faint. They asked me if I wanted to cut the umbilical cord. I'm like, no, that looks like a finger. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I'm like, so I'll pass. But yeah, that little moment changed my life. And then 4 days later, my mom passed away. That moment in my life was, I call it the perfect storm. And I don't wish this on anyone, but those events and the way it happened and the way my mom inspired me to photography and just all that combined gave me a sense of clarity. It just it opened up my eyes and my mind and my heart, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna quit my job, and I'm gonna buy all this bougie gear, and I'm just gonna start shooting pretty people. I mean, that's pretty much how it went, and people thought I was crazy, and it was now who's laughing, right? It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful journey, and I'm still going down that path. But that's what kind of got me into it. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home dad. And yeah, it was great. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, and it's worked out. We have 2 boys now, Benny and Bo, and they're absolutely wonderful. Full of energy. There's times where I can't stand it, but then as soon as they leave, I'm like, and then I miss them. It's a crazy thing. If you're a parent or a father that's listening, I know you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's how I got started, and that's why I love doing what I do. It's more along the lines of a legacy that I'm trying to leave for my boys. To hey, get inspired, be creative, pave your own path. That's hard to say. And serve people in the process. Knowing how special those moments are. I remember, I look back on my wedding photos, and it was the last photos taken, of my mom before she passed away. So I know how important that is. I look back and I feel this every single wedding. Where, when you're shooting family members, when you're shooting moments, those moments are special. They're unique. They're one of a kind. They're never going to happen again. And they're happening all the time, and they're happening all around you. If you're starting out in photography or you're thinking about weddings, that can probably intimidate you or kind of scare you a little bit. For me, it invigorates me and it excites me. One, to be able to find the moment, but then 2, to be prepared and having anticipated a little bit for that moment and then shooting it and then being able to deliver that to couples. It is the most rewarding feeling ever. And I do it almost every weekend, and I absolutely love it. But I look at those moments and I'm like, okay, these are special. because not trying to be morbid or dark about it, but it could be the last moment you have with your mom or your dad or brother or sister or extended family member that you're close to. So yeah, I take that very serious. You'll find out very quickly, folks. I don't take myself seriously at all. I joke and make fun of myself. I'll make jokes often on here, and it's just to make me laugh. And that's the only only person I do is I amuse myself. But when it comes to photographing, I take that very seriously. I obsess over it. I tell my brides, I probably love your day more than you. I know I'm just equally as excited, and I always tease my brides and say I'm more excited than your maid of honor, or if I'm talking to the groom, more excited than your best man. I love weddings, and I get so pumped up for them. It's all I think about. Drives my wife crazy. She's like, "Can you think of anything else?" I'm like, "No, I got this wedding next Saturday, and it's going to be awesome and wonderful." And it's like, "Well, isn't it like every other?" And I'm like, "No." So yeah, that's a little bit of the backstory about me, and I hope that inspires you, and I hope, I don't know, I just hope it, you take that and, looking into my brand, I always try to take pride on the authenticity and sincerity in what I do. And, that backstory in my history, that's kind of what fuels and motivates me to do what I do. It's kind of the foundation. And to stay home with the boys. Time is very precious, and you never get it back. And I want to try to spend as much time with them. I see, parents out there, and, hey, if this is your choice, folks, that's more power to you. But I'll see, mothers and fathers that put in, 60, 70, 80-hour work weeks, and they don't get to spend time with their family or enjoy their family. And I understand the whole, having to provide and put food on the table, all that blue collar stuff. I get it. And 100% respect. But I think there's more to it than that. I think there's, more to than just providing. You have to kind of expand a little bit. So that's just my point of view. And so, yeah, I enjoy spending time with the boys and getting to be home during the week with them, especially during the summer. I say I love it, and I do at first. And then about July, middle of July, end of July, I'm like, okay, boys, it's time for you to go back to school. Dad needs a break. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope to do an episode per week. Yeah, and then I want to highlight different vendors as well, and talk about that, and talk about them, and have them kind of share their story and why they're passionate about weddings. You'll hear my conversation ongoing of my passion as well, and yeah, and hopefully I can provide some value to you couples out there that are listening and watching, and maybe we'll work together too. That'll be fun. So, anyways, I'm going to sign off here. I don't know anything else, and thank you for joining me. Really, sincerely, thank you for your time. I just want to just take this little moment here before I let you go. I understand how precious time is, and to have your attention and to have your time, and that you're listening and you're watching, and I hope I inspire you. I hope I encourage you. Know that I love you and that I want the very, very best for you, both couples and the creative community. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And I hope to continue to earn your trust and your time and your attention for this journey that I'm embarking on. And yeah, it's going to be a wild ride, but it's going to be a good ride. So thank you. Signing off, I'm Brian Coss, and I'll see you. And yeah, guess I'll see you in the next. I need to figure out a good ending. I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.